In 2002, Ian Tibbetts started to lose his sight. It deteriorated so much that he was unable even to see the faces of his twin sons.
He tried various treatments, but none were successful. In a final attempt to restore his sight then, he underwent radical surgery which involved, this is extraordinary, implanting part of his tooth into his eye.
Well, the procedure's featured in a new BBC documentary. We'll speak to Ian and the film's producer in just a moment. First, here's a quick look at the programme.
The operation don't bother me. The nervous bit's going to be Thursday. When them bandages come off. That's the nervous bit. That's what's been playing on my mind now for the last few months. 3 days to see, hopefully. Really don't know what will happen.
Well, Ian and Sally George, who made the documentary, join us now. Good morning.
Very good morning.
Well, it's an amazing programme. It's an amazing procedure. I mean, it's a miracle, isn't it, Ian?
Yes, yes. Going from being virtually blind to having some sight now.
And the procedure itself is extraordinary. What did you have to undergo?
I had to have a tooth taken out, front incisor tooth, with part of the jaw bone as well. Drilled a hole in it and smoothed it all out and that, and implanted a lens into it. And then I had to have it underneath my right eye for a few months to cultivate it, so get the blood flowing through it and all that, and then I had to have it put into me left eye then.
Sally, it's an incredible procedure. How can a tooth hook up to the optical nerve system?
Well, the tooth is like a picture frame which holds this tiny plastic lens, and as Ian says, the tooth and tooth root, which is fashioned into this little rectangle by Professor Christopher Liu, the surgeon, and his colleague Jim Harrell, and it literally sort of develops soft tissue when it's tucked under the eyelid of the opposite eye, and then when it's the second operation, the front of the eye is literally taken off, which we filmed everything. Was and then that just acts as the new cornea.
It has a distinctive look about it, of course, Ian.
Yeah.
And how would you describe that? How do people describe the way that your eye looks after the operation?
Well, straight after the operation, people were looking like, and they were just staring more than anything. There was a strange eye of that, like, until you explain what went wrong, like, you know, what I've had done. But I was a bit nervous, like, you know, a bit weary. People keep looking.
Yeah.
But now it doesn't bother me now.
Yeah.
So how is your sight now?
It is, it's about 40%. I'd probably say around there.
Right.
It's
so how, for
not
instance,
perfect.
when you're looking at us, how clear are we to you now?
Almost clear.
Almost clear.
And just before you underwent the operation, how much sight did you have?
None at all, it was just shadows.
Even, Sally, to get 40% vision for somebody like Ian is amazing progress, fantastic progress, because you could see his sons for the first time. But this procedure only works for certain patients.
Yes, it's for patients with sort of irreversible corneal damage, with particularly dry cornea. So unfortunately, it's not available to everyone, and it's not a new operation. It's been around for years, but it just was the last resort for Ian. When we first met Ian, you know, he was really very depressed, and understandably, and by the end of the 10 months, he could see his children.
What, you hadn't seen your children before? No. Because your sight had been so poor, as you said, shadows.
Yeah, it was just shadows.
When they restored your sight using this extraordinary procedure, or restored a significant amount of it, and you'd looked at your little boys' faces, what was that moment like?
Ecstasy. I just cried.
We all cried.
Gave them a big hug and a kiss. and just they were totally different to what I pictured in my mind. Like,
What did you imagine they looked like?
well, a bit like me, really, but
And what did
they're
they
a lot
look
better.
like? What do they look like?
They look more like the wife, really, a lot like Alex in a way.
And Sally, you did have a sort of, well, actually, heart-stopping moment, in fact, almost literally, because Ian had complications in the proceeding. But also, at one point, it didn't seem to be working, did it?
That's the risk you take when you embark on an observational documentary, and I have to say the BBC documentaries were very brave too in their commission, because there was no guarantee. The surgeon, Christopher Liu, made that very clear that it's maybe 3/4 chance of success. And Ian, unfortunately, had the bad luck when the bandages came off of not seeing anything. It was devastating to see him and his family, and of course at the back of our minds we were thinking, oh my God, how are we going to cope with this? But Christopher Liu said, don't give up, it's only day one. It may take time.
Yeah.
And it did.
And Ian, what is the most wonderful thing about having your sight back?
Having my independence back again. I still struggle at night time. I can't see at night. But during the day I can get around on my own now. Where before I had to rely on my father-in-law mainly, and my wife Alex, like.
Well, that's great to hear. Ian, congratulations on your new world. Thanks very much for coming to talk to us. Sally, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
The Day I Got My Sight Back is on BBC One at 11:25 in a week's time.